their name, age, occupation, or income, okay? And we're going to start by having them say hello to you and see how they sound. Number one, would you say hello to Cheryl, please?
We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
This is Rodney James Alcala. He's on a TV show called The Dating Game Show, a game where a woman picks between 3 bachelors after asking a few questions without seeing what the bachelors look like. At this point in timeline, Rodney had already committed murder, but no one knew. Unfortunately for the women, she chose Rodney to be her winner, but she made the best decision in her life when she later refused to go on the date after the show. Just a trigger warning, this episode is pretty graphic as it mentions the soul and the R and M words, which I cannot say at the start of the video, so beware. Rodney Alcala was born in San Antonio, Texas in 1943. His father moved the family to Mexico when Alcala was 8 years old, only to abandon them 3 years later. His mother then moved Alcala and his sister to suburban Los Angeles. At age 17, Alcala entered the army as a clerk, but after a nervous breakdown, he is medically discharged due to mental health issues. Then the intelligent young man with an IQ of 135 went on to attend UCLA, but he wouldn't stay on the straight and narrow for long. Like many serial killers, Rodney Alcala had a style. His signatures were beating, biting, raping, and strangling, often choking victims until the point of unconsciousness. Then, once they come to, he would start the process over again. On his first known attempt at killing, he was successful at only 2 of those things. The victim was Tali Shapiro, a vital person in this story. An 8-year-old girl at the time, he lured her into his Hollywood apartment in 1968. Shapiro barely survived her rape and beating, her life saved by a passerby who reported a tip to police on a possible abduction. Alcala fled his apartment when the police arrived and remained a fugitive for years afterward. He moved to New York and used the alias John Berger to enroll in film school at New York University, where, ironically enough, he studied under famous Polish director Roman Polanski. After being recognized thanks to an FBI poster, Alcala was finally identified as the perpetrator in the rape and attempted murder of Tali Shapiro. He was arrested in 1971 but only sent to prison on charges of assault. Shapiro's family kept her from testifying, making a rape conviction unattainable. After spending 3 years behind bars, he soon spent another 2 years in prison for assaulting a 13-year-old girl. Then authorities regrettably let Alcala travel to New York to visit relatives. Investigators now believe that within 7 days of his arrival there, he killed a college student named Eleni Hover, who was the daughter of a popular Hollywood nightclub owner and the goddaughter of both Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin. Soon after all of this, Alcala somehow got a job at the Los Angeles Times as a typesetter in 1978 under his real name, which now is attached to a substantial criminal record. A typist by day, by night he lured in young girls to be a part of his professional photography portfolio, some of them never to be heard from again. Now, go back and listen to Alcala tell the Bachelorette Bradshaw the best time is at night.
Bachelor number 1.
Yes.
What's your best time?
The best time is at night, nighttime,
Why do you say that?
because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good. Then you're really...
Absolutely mind-blowing stuff. The year after the dating game appearance, 17-year-old Leanne Leadham was lucky enough to walk away unscathed from a photo shoot with Rodney Alcala, and she remarked how he showed her his portfolio, which in addition to shots of women, included spread after spread of naked teenage boys. Police have since released parts of Alcala's portfolio to the public to aid in victim identification. Over the years, a few have stepped forward to reveal their horrifying moments with this predator. The case that would finally break Rodney Alcala's killing spree was that of a 12-year-old Robin Samso. She disappeared from Huntington Beach, California, on her way to ballet class on June 20th, 1979. Samso's friends said that a stranger approached them on a beach and asked if they wanted to do a photo shoot. They declined and Samso left, borrowing a friend's bike to hurriedly get to ballet. At some point between the beach and class, Samso disappeared. Nearly 12 days later, a park ranger found her animal-ravaged bones in a forested area. Upon questioning Samso's friend, a police sketch artist drew a composite and Alcala's former parole officer recognized the face. Between the sketch, Alcala's criminal past, and the discovery of Samso's earring in Alcala's Seattle storage locker, police felt confident that they had their man. But beginning with the trial in 1980, Samso's family would have to follow a rather long and winding road to justice. The jury found Alcala guilty of his first-degree murder and received the death penalty. However, the California Supreme Court overturned this verdict due to the jury being prejudiced because they learned of Alcala's past sex crimes. It took 6 years to put him back on trial. At the second trial in 1986, another jury sentenced him to death. This one didn't stick either. A Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals panel overturned it in 2001. LA Weekly wrote, in part because the second trial judge did not allow a witness to back up the defense's claim that the park ranger who found Robin Samso's animal-ravaged body in the mountains had been hypnotized by the police officers. Finally, in 2010, 31 years after the murder, a third trial was held. Just before the trial, Orange County Senior Deputy District Attorney Matt Murphy told LA Weekly the 70s in California was insane as far as treatment of sexual predators. Rodney Alcala is a poster boy for this. It is a total comedy of outrageous stupidity. During the years he spent incarcerated, Alcala self-published a book called You, the Jury, in which he proclaimed his innocence in the Samso case. He vigorously contested the DNA swabs done on prisoners periodically for the police department's evidence bank. Alcala also brought up 2 lawsuits against the California penal system, one for a slip and fall accident and another for the prison's refusal to provide him with a low-fat menu. During the 2010 trials, the jurors were in for a bizarre adventure. Rodney Alcala, acting as his own attorney, asked himself questions, referring to himself as Mr. Alcala, in a deep voice which he would then answer. The peculiar question and answer session continued for 5 hours. He told the jury that he was at Knott's Berry Farm at the time of Samso's murder, played dumb on the other charges, and used an Arlo Guthrie song as part of his closing argument. Just FYI, I don't know who Arlo Guthrie is, I apologize. Rodney Alcala simply stated that he didn't remember killing the other women. The only other witness for the defense, psychologist Richard Rappaport, offered the explanation that Alcala's memory lapse could be equated to his borderline personality disorder. The jury, not surprisingly, found Alcala guilty of the 4 DNA-backed charges and also found him guilty of killing Samso. A surprise witness at his sentencing was Tali Shapiro, the girl that Alcala had raped and beaten within an inch of her life about 40 years ago. Shapiro was there to witness as justice for Robin Samso, 12 years old, Jill Bearcombe, 18 years old, Georgia Wickstead, 27 years old, Charlotte Lamb, 31 years old, and Jill Parenteau, 21 years old, had finally been achieved. The court handed Alcala the death penalty again for the 3rd time. Since that trial, investigators have continued to link the dating game killer to many other cold case murders, including 2 which he pled guilty in New York in 2013. The full extent of his crimes may never be known. Now on to some good news. While sitting on death row in California, Rodney Alcala died of natural causes at age 77 on July 24, 2021. Immediately, some of his victims spoke up, expressing their relief that the dating game killer was finally truly gone. The planet is a better place without him, that's for sure, said Tali Shapiro. It's a long time coming, but he's got his karma. Investigator Jeff Shawman, who had been working on a cold case involving Alcala in Wyoming in recent years, was even more blunt, saying he's where he needs to be, and I'm sure that's in hell. Alright guys, this brings us to the end of the video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and a sub to the channel would mean the world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.